This is actually a formula for summarizing everything, because this is what you are doing every day. When a friend asks you how was your day, you don't go through all the details of your day, and you just refer to the major happenings and events, and this is a very first example of a summary. When you want to help your classmate with the lessons, you don't explain all the topics in details, and you try to be as brief as possible. However, your reactions in these situations are totally unconscious, and you will finally find yourself in conscious situations in which you will find summarizing a very hard task to do. So we need to learn the techniques and the steps in summarizing. For example, summarizing a book, because learning to summarize a book will be simultaneously useful in other fields too. Summarizing is a very important task in our lives, and it is essential in learning almost everything, because the sources in everything and in every field is detailed based and lengthy, and we don't have time to review all these for 2 or 3 times, but reviewing the summary is easily possible even for 10 times or more. And in this video we are going to talk about 6 steps in summarizing a book, which helps us in summarizing almost everything, whether non-fiction books or the fiction ones. By the way, my name is Sohail, and if you are interested in topics related to literature, reading, literary criticism, and so on, hit that subscribe button to watch my future videos as well. And now let's go directly to the 6 steps of summarizing a book. Step number 1, read the book. The very first and absolute step is to read the book you are going to summarize, because if you don't read the book, it will be obvious in your summary. So take time and read the book, and then you can easily talk about or write about that book. Do this, because if you don't read it, your summarizing will be very foolish. Step number 2, take notes and try to do this in a separate notebook. Actually, I have a plan to create a video in the near future about taking notes, and there I will discuss the steps and techniques in taking a good note from the books you are reading. But now I will refer to some important points. One of the important points you need to ponder upon is that it's better to take notes on a separate notebook, because they will be easier to follow in your later reviews. Another important point you need to consider is that in your notes, you should write the quotes you think are very important, and that you may forget them after finishing the book. Also, there may be some websites, some sources, some contents, some concepts and notions that you want to check in the internet after you finish the book. So include them in your notes. Do this, it's very important, because you will forget them and you will never come back to it. And finally, the last point I'm going to tell you about taking notes is to take notes as much as possible, because when you are reading a book for the first time, there are lots of information for you that are new, and they are worth writing down. So write them down and don't worry about the length of your notes. You can later on come back to it and take out the most important ones. Don't forget, please don't forget to take notes in a separate notebook so that you can find them easily, and then you can review them more easily. Do this, it's very important to write notes in a separate notebook. Step number 3, outline the summary. This step is related to the structure of your summary, and here we have differences between non-fiction books and fiction ones. In non-fiction books, the very first thing we have is a big idea, which is the most important idea of that book. And then we should include 3 to 5 main points which are related to that big idea in one way or another. And finally, we refer to some examples which are the supportive arguments of the ideas mentioned in the previous section of the summary. In fiction books, however, the structure is different. In fiction, we first refer to the main characters and describe him or her. And then we talk about the motives and interests and desires of this main character, which drives the story and makes the plot moving forward. Then we will talk about the challenges faced by this main character and how he or she manages these challenges by the end of the novel, and what happens really at the end of the novel or at the end of the story, and what are the lessons we got from that. This is actually the very general structure of a summary when we are dealing with the fiction books. Try to be brief as well as complete. Your summary must be something between 400 to 800 words at most, so you are limited to present all your ideas, feelings, emotions and thoughts. Try to be selective and refer to most important points. Step number 4, remember your audience. This point is very important because it can change the whole summary you are writing. If it is for someone who is going to start reading that book, so you must be concise without spoiling, and also presenting more about your thoughts and emotions and feelings of that book. But if you're going to present that for your professor in the university, the language must be formal, the structure must be academic and based on examples, explanation and supportive arguments and so on. And if you're a YouTuber or content maker, you must be as concise as possible in order not to get your viewers bored. So this is very important. You need to recognize and also know your audience and write down your summary based on them, which is related to them. And this is a very important harmony you need to think about. Step number 5, follow the order of the book. Explain the major ideas, events and notions just like the order of the book, because in this way you will keep the coherence of the current of the book. And remember that keeping the coherence of a text is a very hard task, and it needs time and experience for you to learn this ability. So try to keep the order of the book as it does it, and it is really enough, absolutely enough. And finally, step number 6, paraphrase and put everything into your own words. This is really my favorite point in summarizing a book, and unfortunately I see readers don't pay attention to it. This is an essential point in summarizing a book, because when you summarize a book, it means that you understand it, and now you want to share it with other people. So you must close the book and start talking with your own words. This shows the high level in understanding that book, and you must really pay attention to that. These 6 steps, or you may call them points, are very important in the course of summarizing a book, whether a non-fiction book or a fiction one. Thanks for your attention, and I hope you find this video helpful. Be sure to watch other videos from my channel as well, and if you find them interesting, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Take care.